They are tough. We know what the bats can do, but it's also about the rotation. What's the latest on the Orioles rotation?
Yeah, we're starting to get a little more clarity, but some big questions coming up. Obviously, Cole Irvin pitching tonight. Tyler Wells confirmed for Sunday. Gee, I wonder why, because he was so good coming out of the bullpen in Texas, the 5 hitless, scoreless innings. Kyle Gibson Monday, yes. Grayson Rodriguez Tuesday, which makes sense. It is a T-shirt giveaway night for him. First 10,000 fans, 15 and over, get a Grayson Rodriguez Welcome to the Show T-shirt. Of course, he's pitching that night. But we got an interesting decision coming up there with Kyle Bradish. He's been throwing. The foot's much better. He was even able to jog down the orange carpet yesterday. So that tells you how good he's feeling. Yes, he was questionable. I asked him before the game. He said, we haven't talked about it yet. He wanted to. He's fine. He's eligible to come back on the 19th while the team's in D.C. What do they do? That's 6 starters for 5 spots, and they have said over and over, we're not going to 6-man rotation. They don't seem real keen on the whole piggyback thing. D.L. Hall's pitching tomorrow at Norfolk. They're stretching him out. When he's ready, that would be 7. So as they always say, these things tend to work themselves out. But get the big tub of popcorn, because I'm really interested to see how they're going to do this, because Rodriguez, Tuesday, probably has another one after that. And then if he's pitching really well, how do you send him back down?
Those are good problems to have. Those are problems, like you said, that work themselves out. One guy who has really worked his way out, and one of my favorites, to be honest with you, is Ramon Arias.
Yep.
He's become not only a good fielder, we saw that from a great fielder with Gold Glove, but also a clutch hitter.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to contribute somehow, some way, somewhere. We don't always know where. Third base again tonight. But, he's shortstop, second base. Guy won a Gold Glove at third base, and he's more of a utility guy. And he was huge yesterday, the 2 doubles, including the one that was the go-ahead run. And that play there in the 8th inning on a bullet, backhanded, step on the bag, start the double play to get them out of trouble there. He was such a huge contributor. And it's like, again, is he going to be in the lineup every day? Probably not. He says, when I'm in it, I just want to be able to contribute somehow. But in the meantime, scouts, I talked to him in spring training, they're keeping a close eye on him and Jorge Mateo, who's out of the lineup tonight. A little bit of ankle soreness, but they say nothing serious. He'll play tomorrow. But they figured you've got all those young infielders coming up. We talk about how do you fit all the pitchers.
Right.
How do you fit all the infielders who are going to be ready? The Jordan Westbergs, Joey Ortiz, Connor Norby. So there are scouts that are kind of watching Urias right now and Mateo, thinking maybe one of them becomes available. And, so they're going to keep an eye on them in case the Orioles don't want to part with a young infielder. In the meantime, the veterans are showing themselves really well. Adam Frazier, 7 for 20, 3 doubles and a home run. And this is a team that thinks it can make the playoffs. It expects to make the playoffs. So they're not going to be looking to part with key contributors like an Urias or a Mateo at this point. So, again, that's also going to be interesting to see how they make room. But people are keeping an eye on this team, saying they're going to have to make room somehow in that infield.
Give me an update, quick update on James McCann.
Yeah, he was 2 for 4 as a designated hitter last night in Aberdeen. Started his rehab assignment. Catching tonight, they want him to go about 7 innings, and they said they'll make a decision. He could come back tomorrow. I thought it was interesting that Rutschman's catching again tonight. Probably not going to catch a day game tomorrow after a night game against lefty Nestor Cortez.
Yeah.
Anthony Ben-Boom's a backup right now. Who's a left-handed hitter? McCann's a right-handed hitter. Do we read anything into that?
Hey, possibly.